Loni Anderson experienced a meteoric rise to fame when she starred on the classic sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati. The series aired on CBS for 4 seasons, premiering in 1978 and running to 1982. The show revolved around a struggling fictional radio station headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, while detailing the misadventures of the ragtag group of staffers that called it their place of employment. Anderson played Jennifer Marlowe, the station's receptionist and highest-paid employee. Despite her character's reputation of being essentially eye candy for the station, Marlowe was fairly intelligent, informed, and able to take on just about any and every situation. Anderson didn't expect to become a celebrated sex symbol as quickly as she did, but it certainly didn't hurt her career trajectory. Now that she's 75 years old, however, her life looks a bit different than it did all those years ago when WKRP in Cincinnati was still on the air. Today, she is still the gorgeous blonde bombshell fans remember her as, but her life has taken many different twists and turns in the years since she played Jennifer Marlowe. Join Factsverse as we discuss what happened to Loni Anderson in the years since WKRP in Cincinnati's cancellation. But first, let's take a look back on her early life and career leading up to her life-changing casting on that series. Loni Anderson's early days. Loni Kaye Anderson was born on August 5, 1945 in Saint Paul, Minnesota, to Klardon Carl Andy Anderson, an environmental chemist, and Maxine Hazel, who worked as a model. Anderson grew up in a suburb of the Twin Cities, Saint Paul and Minneapolis, called Roseville. When she was a senior at Alexander High School, she was voted Valentine Queen at the school's annual Valentine's Day winter formal in 1963. After getting a little taste of being in the limelight, being crowned queen, Anderson went on to pursue a career in acting. She made her debut in 1966 in the film Nevada Smith, starring alongside Steve McQueen. For the next decade, however, she struggled to find work in the industry and was practically unemployed. In the mid-70s, though, her luck started to change when she was given guest roles on several popular TV shows, including turns on SWAT, Phyllis, Policewoman, and Harry O. Anderson had auditioned for the role of Chrissy on Three's Company, but didn't land it. She did get a chance to guest star in the series as the character Susan Walters on a Season 2 episode in 1978. And it was that appearance that captured the attention of network execs over at ABC, who saw her as having a tremendous amount of potential. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like, and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. And stick around to find out a lot more about Loni Anderson. Loni Anderson's time on WKRP in Cincinnati. In 1978, Anderson scored perhaps the biggest role of her career when she was cast as Jennifer Marlowe on WKRP in Cincinnati. She was given the role after the producers saw a poster of her donning a red swimsuit while striking a very similar pose to the one Farrah Fawcett did in her famed 1976 poster. Hugh Wilson, the creator, once stated Anderson landed the role primarily because her body was reminiscent of Jane Mansfield's and because she had the same kind of innocent sexuality Marilyn Monroe was known for. WKRP failed to draw in the numbers CBS had hoped for and struggled in the Nielsen ratings throughout most of its run, but it did have a fairly solid fan base among teens, young adults, and DJs. Anderson quickly found herself to be somewhat the unofficial main attraction of the series due to her status as a sex symbol, but she temporarily left it in the summer of 1980 after requesting a substantial pay increase. During her hiatus, she starred in the CBS TV film The Jane Mansfield Story. Once the network finally okayed her salary increase, Anderson returned to the show and stuck with it until its eventual cancellation in 1982. Since then, the show has retained popularity and syndication across the globe. Loni Anderson's life and career post-WKRP in Cincinnati. After appearing on WKRP for several years, Anderson went on to appear in a handful of TV shows and films. In 1986, she starred in the TV series Partners in Crime, but it didn't last longer than a season. When she starred in the film Stroker Ace in 1983, Anderson met her future husband, Burt Reynolds, who was her co-star. The two were married in 1988, but divorced in 1994. Reynolds was actually Anderson's third husband. She was previously married to a man named Bruce Hasselberg from 1964 to 66, and to Ross Bickle from 1973 to 81. Anderson and Reynolds' relationship was highly publicized and tumultuous, and they ended up splitting in a very nasty divorce that involved a bitter custody battle over their son Quentin. Anderson got married to her first husband, Hasselberg, when she was just 18. They ended up having one daughter together, Deirdre. In 2008, Anderson got married to her current husband, Bob Flick, founder of the folk outfit The Brothers Four. Before she and Flick tied the knot, Anderson had made a few appearances on TV series throughout the 90s and into the early 2000s. In 1993, she played a hospital administrator in the final season of Nurse, which wrapped up later that year. She also made several appearances in series like Sabrina the Teenage Witch and VIP. One of her most recent roles was in 2006 when she played Tori Spelling's snobby mother in So Notorious. In 2016, she played a minor character in an episode of the ABC family series Baby Daddy. She followed that up with a 13-episode turn as the character Frances in the series My Sister Is So Gay. Her last credited role was that of Jean Carlisle Dixon in a pilot called Love You More. Aside from the occasional interview and guest appearance, Anderson has spent her years away from the limelight, enjoying the simpler life with her husband in California. She still enjoys the Hollywood lifestyle, though. She frequently makes appearances on the red carpet and attends the occasional Tinseltown Gala, premiere, and charity event. In 2017, Anderson was spotted in Santa Monica, looking just as striking as ever, while wearing a black denim jacket and jeans with her blonde locks fluttering in the breeze. 2 years later, she was seen smiling at the 26th annual Race to Erase MS Gala held in LA. Multiple sclerosis is a disease that has especially affected Anderson and her family, as her daughter Deirdre is known to suffer from it. Another disease she's become an outspoken spokesperson for is COPD. Anderson grew up with parents who came from the World War II generation, and like so many people from it, they were heavy smokers. As such, Anderson had to witness firsthand the debilitating effects of COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, a lung disease often caused by tobacco smoking. It was actually while visiting Seattle to attend a COPD educational event that she met her current husband, Bob Flick. It's unclear whether Loni will ever stage another return to TV, but she clearly seems to be enjoying her golden years. Even if she never appears on screen again, she'll always be remembered for her iconic role on WKRP in Cincinnati, which earned her 3 Golden Globe Awards in addition to 2 Emmy nods. Now it's time to hear from you. Were you a big fan of WKRP in Cincinnati? Let us know in the comment section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.